Hi everybody, this is DodongoBomber of Zelda World.net, and welcome to our video walkthrough of The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. In the last video of this chapter, we reached the first official dungeon of the game, the Forest Temple, as you're about to see right here. Each dungeon and really new area in general has a panning shot like this that shows the first room, and that's how you get the names, and this one actually is called the Forest Temple. A lot of people just generically call forest dungeons in Zelda the Forest Temple, but this one actually is called that. Anyway, before you want to head on forward to enter really the main parts of the dungeon, you can run on back and see these vines inside here. Well, you can attack the wall tools up there with your slingshot, as otherwise there's no way up. And once you get the second one, you can climb up top, and there will be a little surprise for us up there. And go ahead and get that before we commence with the rest of the dungeon. I always hate how Link climbs the vines so slow in this game. I mean, it is more realistic, I guess, but no one moves their limbs one at a time when climbing. At least it moves a bit faster when going sideways, as you can see right here. Anyway, once you are fully above the platform, just go ahead and drop down and grab this chest, which contains 10 rupees, 1 yellow rupee. Alright, you can go ahead and drop down. There's no sense in climbing back down the vines. Another thing, you can roll into these poles throughout the dungeon. That's another little important thing. And you can get pots, chests, or other things, as we'll see later. Go ahead and kill off these enemies. As you'll notice, the same monkey, she's here yet again, so go ahead and kill off the enemies, otherwise when you break open the cage, she won't want to get out. Alright, after a few slashes, she notices the enemies are gone, and she will commence to climb up these vines. Once at top, she will beckon Link, and this is sort of the main gimmick of this dungeon. You want to follow the monkeys. Monkeys in general are the gimmick of this dungeon. A lot of dungeons in this game have a gimmick like that. It's an interesting thing they add into it. It gives a bit more flavor to it, other than just walking around figuring things out for yourself. Although that's worked well in the past. Anyway, you can go ahead and follow it. She can't open the doors on her own, so she beckons you to do that. And you can go ahead and go on forward, basically just following her throughout the dungeon the whole time. Well, we've got one more large Skulltula, so I guess that's what you call them. I mean, they're not quite Waltulas, I guess they're Skulltulas. Anyway, you'll notice that there's no way to get to that door in the front there. But before we head up there, just drop down, and there's this little rock you notice on the side before we lift up the platforms. But in order to blast that rock open, we need a bomb of some type. Right here, these enemies are called bomblings, and they'll actually become a usable item more often later in the game. But until then, they sort of come out of the ground in this dungeon. So go ahead and use it to blow up the wall like you would with a bomb in a normal Zelda game. Well, in other Zelda games, a normal bomb. And open the chest for 20 rupees. Now we'll be ready to head back up and light the 4 torches on each corner in order to get to the door across the way. So just pull out your lantern and swing at them, and that will lift up the platforms. You better do it quickly, of course, otherwise the earlier torches will go out and you'll have to start over again, and that always gets annoying. Now, before you head through, there is yet another chest. This time it's a big one, and of course it's going to carry the map, which is usually the first one you get, the first of the 3 important items in dungeons, aside from the weapon. You know, there's the map, the compass, and the boss key, which lets you get to the boss room. Standard stuff for Zelda, but it's worth explaining. Anyway, once you walk out here, another cutscene will commence, and you'll see this big old bridge. Doesn't look like we're going to be crossing that anytime soon. Let's make it even worse. Well, what's that? Another monkey walks out. I guess it's an orangutan. I guess it looks a bit bigger, and he'll cut the ropes. So, with what looks like an evil boomerang, except the dark spirit on it or something, it will taunt us, I guess you could say, and run back the way it came. So we're not going to be getting across here anyway, whether the bridge was up or not. So we're going to have to go back into the other room and I guess find a different way throughout the dungeon, because this way's not accessible right now. And Minda says, "Oh no, there's been a monkey fight." So Minda basically just says what I've been saying. You want to follow the monkey throughout the dungeon, and hopefully we'll find something else to do, since we can't go that way. Okay, so she'll jump across. Now what you can do here is you can actually jump, hang on to them, and then push the A button when you're prompted, as you saw there, and that will it'll let you swing across gaps. So as long as there's a rope, you'll know that you can swing across with a monkey. Alright, attack this next bombling, and the rocks will bomb open, revealing a couple pots. And if you notice, something just poked its head out of that pot there. So let's go ahead and break it open, or grab it, or whatever. And cutscene will commence, and what is that? Well, its name is Ooccoo. It is a girl. And this is kind of a new thing for Zelda, but it's a cool feature. Basically, Ooccoo acts as an item. She'll let you warp out of the dungeon. She mentions she's looking for something, but we'll get into that much later in the game. Anyway, so she explains, she can warp you out of the dungeon at any time. You can just set her to an X or Y, and literally you can go right outside the dungeon. And when she'll leave you with her child. I'm not sure if I'll be showing that yet in this LP. It just depends on how we do in later dungeons. But if you get full on rupees, or you need to buy a potion or something, you can use her to warp out and warp right back to the exact same room that you were just in. Very useful item, though. We'll mostly be heading to these dungeons empty on rupees and full on potions and such. So it's not really a big use unless you walk into dungeons full on everything, empty or full on things, I guess. Ideally, you want to be empty on all your rupees so you can collect all the chests, and full on potions and items and such, like the slingshot you'd want to have full. Anyway, I'm getting a little off topic, so first things first, I actually went the wrong way there for a second. You want to walk in here because there's a necessary item that we need across the way to progress later in the dungeon. So just run across this moving platform. The wind sort of moves it, and just make sure you run across at the right time, otherwise you'll jump right in, down into nowhere. So just make sure you time it right. It's not too hard to do. And walk into here. You notice another platform, but it can't be moved as there's no wind in here. Well, we'll have to get to that later. Anyway, open the chest and you'll get a small key. So we can head back the way we came now, since there's nothing else to do in here. Luckily, the platform lined up for us right there. It's kind of annoying when you have to wait for it. Anyway, this has been DodongoBomber giving you another episode of The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Join us next time when we complete the Forest Temple. See you later.